Hello and welcome to the channel. So we've got a Fender Deluxe Reverb, and this is quite an old one, and this belongs to Lee at the shop, and we're going to assess it, just see what it needs if anything, and just see what general condition it's in inside. So you've all seen these before. For those that haven't, we've got a couple of channels, one normal, one vibrato, volume, treble and bass. Same on this channel, but then we've got reverb and tremolo, speed and intensity there. Usual deal. So let's spin it round, and we can see, if we look, the first thing we can see, speaker's been changed. That's not the original speaker. It's had the voltage selector removed off there by the look of it. Got a ground switch on there. Just looking at what we've got. We've got on standby normal there. Extension speaker, unusual deal here, vibrato pedal, reverb pedal, and then you can see we've got the reverb cables in there. So let's whip this off, and we can have a look at a few bits. But to tell you, the first thing I want to do, I want to check that fuse and see if it's 2 amp slow blue, and that is correct. There we go. Right, so we'll get this back off, and we'll have a look. Let's check the fuse in the plug as well. It's really long. What's going on here with all this cable? Quite a long cable, so that's not the original power cable, but it's good. 3 amp fuse, that's absolutely fine. That all looks good in there. So this amp has been worked on by a previous tech, apparently, a lot of years ago though. And when when I'm going through this, and you look, the things that give you a clue that when you open this, it's probably going to be decent work. The correct fuse in the plug, for example, things like that. These fuses are correct, because 9 times out of 10 I find that they're not. So yeah, it's all so far bang on. Right, let's get something to take that back off with. Of course, someone else could have changed that fuse, of course, but so look what tubes we've got then, shall we? JJs for the output tube, 6V6S's, and a very loose rectifier that almost fell out in my hand. Oh, that's very tasty, look at that. Yes, Mollard GZ34. Now you're talking tubes, that's excellent. What a tool that is. But that socket, my days, that could do with pin. That socket could do with the pins tightening up. That almost fell out. In fact, if this amp got bumped, that probably would fall out. What's that speaker? 8 ohms. Yeah. So we'll unplug that. We need to unplug this and this, because we are going to take it out of the cabinet in a minute. Let's have a look at these tubes. Magnet's just slashed that out of my hand. What we got here? JJs. So it looks like this amp's had a retube recently. That's not a JJ though. That looks like a Softec to me. It is. So we've got, let's have a look. That's an RCA that we've got there. If you can see that, just put there. So look at this one, this so this one, put that again. If we look, this one is a 1287, but it's a military grade one, CV4024. That's British military number. So if you ever see that on a tube, if you're in the States, pull a tube out, you ever see that CV, that'll be a British tube, probably made by Mullard or Brymer. Let's have a look at this one, and that's an RCA, that one. So yeah, so an array of tubes, an array of tubes, but some nice ones in there, so that's all good. So I'm just going to take the chassis out of the cabinet. I'm not going to film that, and then we'll get that on the bench, look at the transformers, have a look inside. Right, we've got it on the bench, and the first thing you can see is this transformer has been changed, and the clue, even looking at this amp before I took it out of the case, was the voltage selector being removed. That's output transformer's original, choke looks original, reverb transformer looks original. It is original. Let's have a look in the doghouse, see what's going on in there. Oh, so it said some sprays there in there, you can see, and let's just have a look. They look in good order. Doesn't look like they've been in there that long. Right, let's have a bit of a look at these capacitors then. So we'll start with that one. That's 80.78 microfarads at 0.82 ohms. Let's try the next one. 17.96 at 1.1 ohm. Next one. 16 at 1.37 ohms. 33 I'm going to turn it over. I'm just going to take the tubes out because I've just got something in the cradle, amp cradle, so I'm just going to take these out. That's really loose. That rectifier socket is really loose. We need to look at that. In fact, it ought to be changed. So yes, you can now, I mean, you can clearly see that's been changed. Let's just go up a bit. So it's had a full recap done on it, but it's had all the right parts put in it. Not sure why all of these would have been changed. To be fair, I wouldn't have thought that all the caps were leaking. Yeah, they could have been, I suppose, but anyway, that's all been done, and we've got the sprays in here, so we've got the micas. Yeah, it's top notch. Yeah, it's good. It's been well done. Yeah, don't see anything. So yeah. So look at this transformer. Yeah. Ooh. No, that's all right. It just looks like we're a bit light on. Well, they maybe could do with a touch up, but nothing serious. There's not a problem. ground is not tight, so that needs addressing. So we need to look at that. Ground's not tight enough there. But we'll get that sorted out. Not sure what's going on here. So got some around the power cable. Just flick that, you can see. Not quite sure why that should be there. I don't think that. We've got a tie wrap around that. You can't. I bet you can't see, can you? If we get in there, if we have a look. Just try and zoom in a bit. There, just you can see we've got a tie wrap around there. But that's tight enough. So I don't know why it's got that stuff around it. Don't know on that one. Let me just zoom out again. There we go. But yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks right to me. Yeah, bias has been all the bias circuits been overhauled. There's new resistor, and it's metal oxide. It's had a new diode, new capacitor in there. It's probably hard for you to see, especially with pink just roaming over there, blocking it out. Yeah, that all looks good to me. That looks good, and that's good work. The only things I can find wrong on it really are just this ground needs a star washer on and needs nipping up properly, and this tube socket's just a bit loose. But to be fair, if this amp's been serviced, 4 or 5 years ago, that could have got like that just with age, with heat cycles. So can't really pin that on anybody. It's just old tube sockets. Right. Right, we've got this amp running, and you can no doubt hear that it's time for a spot of breakfast, and bacon is on the menu. That's the phone you can hear, but you can hear the frying. And of course we've got the scratchiness, so that'll be the board leaking. You've got to go pink. I'm sorry, but we've got high voltage. Cheerio. You're not allowed on the bench. Don't try and come up, or you'll be on cheap meat for a week. But we have got that little bit of frying, and what I've spied in here is, and I need to find something non-conductive to point with. So what I've spied is the micas here. Well, that's the reverb, and we've got the tank disconnected, and according to Lee, the reverb doesn't work, so we've got that to investigate. So I wonder if one of those micas is causing that problem. They are normally a bit more severe than that, so it's either one of the micas or a plate resistor or something. Carbon comp resistors, I don't know. So this treble pot's a bit stiff as well. Looks like it's got a cigarette burn in it there. I'm not sure whether that is one of the micas. I'm not sure whether that's not a plate resistor. Let's pull the first tube out. In fact, first thing to do, let's check both channels. So that's channel 2. And that's swaging. So it's on channel 2. Yeah, it appears to be on channel 2. So yes, breakfast on channel 2. So that narrows it down for us a bit more. Right, well at least we know which channel it's on now. I'll pull a schematic up for this so I can just get my head into this circuit. Right, so just going to give this tube a bit of a clean, the pins on this one, and we'll do all the sockets as well, but we'll just shine him up a bit. We sprayed some gumption in him. And if some of the newer subscribers was wondering what the gumption jingles were, and occasionally hearing me mention the word gumption, is usually when I'm spraying cleaner or anything into sockets or whatever, or just generally cleaning things, I'll say, oh, I'll put a bit of gumption on that. And then one day, out of the blue, this tin appeared through the post. And it still remains a mystery who sent this. And this is the gumption. This is the original gumption. Don't know how old it is. You can see it's a powdery slab. Not actually tried to clean anything with it yet, but we'll have to one day. We'll probably on one of my own amps though, not a customer's. Might not turn out too well. So yes, that's the story behind the gumption. So I thought we'd make a little jingle out of it. Well, made 2 jingles actually.
Gumption, 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 gumption.
Now what have I done with that tube cover? There it is. We'll clean the pins. I'm not going to film all of this, but you get the picture. And there must be 50,000 videos of people cleaning tube sockets and tube pins. But yes, it needs doing. Right, we're back on this Fender Deluxe Reverb. just turned it on again from cold, and the frying started again. Turned it on earlier as well, and the frying's back. Now, changed a few things on here. So I've also changed the rectifier tube, and we've now got a tube that was from Lee's stash that we found was an RCA GZ34. So we put that in, and look at the plate voltage now, much lower. So we're getting 440 volts with that Mullard tube. We're down to 407 now, and we're a bit low on the wall. We're about 5 volts down. So that 415 volts on the plates on the schematic, on the AB763 schematic, well, that'll be about bang on, because at 240 volts that'll just about be up there. So I've biased it, and also what's bringing that down a bit, this amp's got 6 V6S's in, which dissipate 14 watts. So I've biased this at 9.8, which is 70% of 14. So what I'm going to do now, got a couple more things to do. I need to test a reverb tank on this, just to make sure that all the reverb circuit is working. And if it's although I did measure the tank and it is open at one end, I only measured it on the leads, so it could be the leads that are open. Well, he's going to sort that out himself. And the other thing is, I'm going to put some diodes in line with the anodes on that tube socket, that rectifier tube socket. Now that RCA tube that I've put in there as well, the pins are a little bit thicker, so I haven't got to change that socket. Right, so we're looking at this tube socket, this rectifier tube socket, and we're going to fit these diodes on there. These 1N4007s, we're going to put a couple of those on. We're going to put them in series with the feeds off the secondary, which are these two red ones. These are the secondary feeds, AC voltage. They go to pin 4 and pin 6. So we need to put a diode in series, and the reason we put that on there, this amp's got a standby switch. Now, while I've been working on this amp, I haven't used the standby switch. I've just left it off, left it on. Well, off, because obviously if it's off, then there's power running through the rectifier tube into the amp. If the standby switch is off, you've disconnected the DC voltage. But basically, I'm not using the standby switch, because you shouldn't on a rectifier tube. You shouldn't even have a standby switch. But we can put diodes in series with the secondary feeds each side and the actual anodes on the tube, pins 4 and pins 6. It helps to protect that rectifier. And I'm not getting into the standby switch debate, because it's just a nightmare. So if we look, keep putting my head over that light, sorry. So if we look here, you can see that we've got something we just need to address there. Don't want anyone thinking that I've done that, so I'm going to change that. And this one here is not brilliant either. It's on well enough, it's just a bit, the wire's just a bit burnt and messy, so we'll sort that out while we're at it. So if you can see the wire there, we're not just going to leave these diodes floating by just soldering one end to the pin and then one end to the wire. So what we do, this is pins 2, so 3, pins 4. What we do is, pin 3 is not used, it's no connection. So we wire from pin 3 to pin 4, we wire the diode, and then what we do is we put the wire on pin 3. And then from pin 6 here, we wire the diode from pin 5 to pin 6, and then we wire the secondary to pin 5, and that's how we fit them. Obviously you've got to do them with the right polarity. You can't just wire the diodes any way around, obviously. So if we look at the diode here, if we just focus, so this side of the diode, the anode will go to pin 3, say if we're using that pin 3 to 4, and this side, the cathode side, will go to pin 4. That's how it works. And then you connect the wire onto the anode side onto pin 3. There we go, that's all done. So just remember to test the diodes once you've got them on there, once you've been soldering on them, because of obviously the heat, if one of them's a bit faulty, and it's just good to test them before you power up. So we're ready to power up now, so we'll get the tube back in, rectifier tube back in, and fire up. Right, looking at the meter there, so we know what voltage that we're looking for roughly is our somewhere around 407. So we plug in, we've got a 100-watt bulb on the current limiter. It's just something I always do, and we need to put the meter on as well, because I haven't done that yet because I'm a plank. You can hear that's running now. You see we've got 285 volts on there, and everything's running nice. Let's put another 150 in there. 395, so we've got 250 watts current limiting. We'll take that off, and there we go, all running good. 410. Now I've just got to look at the reverb. So we need a tank hank. Right, I've got a reverb tank connected to it. That works fine. So it's either the tank or the leads to it. Yeah, well, I think Lee can sort that out himself. He's pretty good with stuff like that. Right, just on the handheld, and you can see there the 38th week of 1966. So if we turn the tank over, and I know I said I wasn't going to fix the tank, but curiosity got the better of me, and you can see we've got this. If we go in, you can see we've got this wire off there. That's what's wrong. So we just need to solder that on, and that's what I'm going to do. Right, got the reverb going. I've had all the tank out and cleaned it all. It really was, well, I think that dust went back to 1966 in there, but yeah, it's all clipped, all the cables back in there. I mean, somebody's obviously been in here before, because, and the back screws, if we just tap in there, oh sorry, you can see the back screws aren't original. Those bottom screws are original, but the washers are missing. And yeah, it's still not mega clean, but it didn't want to be too clean, did it? It just, then it'd look like a brand new bag. So I've wiped it over, and I think that looks about right for an amp from 1966. But yeah, all looks pretty good in there now, and the reverb works. So that's good stuff, all good. So we'll get it and get it up on top of the 4x12, although we won't be plugging it into the 4x12, and we'll give it a blast. Right, we've got this Deluxe Reverb, and yes, we've got the old Fender Stratocaster. You don't see this very often. Blast on this amp. So we've got the reverb in, got all the bass in, and just a bit of treble, because this is a bright guitar. So there we go, that sounds really tasty. It's a very, very nice amp indeed. Really nice. Arthritis in the thumb there, and not used to playing this guitar either, so It's a little bit off there with the timing, but let's try this. Oops, got the reverb going there. Let's try the other channel. There we go. That's a very nice amp. I think Lee's got quite a few speakers. He's going to test it in this. Got some Jensen's, one thing of another. So he'll have fun playing around with that. It sounds really tasty. I think that Eminent speaker does need to go though. It's not the right speaker for this amp. But there again, some people you like what you like. I don't. That's just not quite right for me, but despite that, this amp sounds fantastic. Really, really beautiful bit of kit. 1966 Deluxe Reverb. What can you say? So thanks for watching. You all take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye for now.